There's a sad start to the episode. People in and around the town are attending Mayor Noble's funeral. Wednesday takes notice of someone in the far distance standing to the side. After chasing him, she sees that it's her Uncle Fester. He says he's got a new job in Boston. When she probes him more about it, he says she shouldn't worry. All she needs to know is that he needs a place to lay low for a bit, which leads them to Eugene's bee shed. Fester tells her she needs to find a diary by Nathaniel. There's more uncovered information that could be helpful in her solving this case. He says it's based in the Nightshade's library. It should be somewhere in a safe. Back at Nevermore, Enid comes back into the room. And according to Adams, it's the third time in 24 hours. These two start bickering back and forth before Enid eventually leaves since the disrespect is too much for her to handle. Once she makes it inside the library, she calls out for her uncle, but the only person who she sees is Xavier. He then says she's problematic because she doesn't appreciate him, yet he's been an OG. Her reasoning for this is because he always happens to be there when the monster attacks. Once he heads out, Uncle Fester reveals himself. When he sees Sting, he gets excited, but the feeling isn't mutual. Once the diary is in her possession, she learns that there are technically two people she's up against, the monster and its master. Miss Thornhill walks into her room to say Enid wants to stay with Yoko for the rest of the school year. So she asks Wednesday why they fell out. The whole time this conversation was taking place, Fester was hiding behind Enid's stuffed animals. And in this moment I couldn't stop thinking how much this dude gives off major Boomy vibes. Anyways, her and her uncle start tailing Xavier cause she's still suspicious and thinks he's the monster. Xavier ends up meeting Wednesday's therapist. Immediately after this, she bursts into Principal Weem's office to discuss what she just saw, but the doctor is there in the room with them. Wednesday and Fester at the coffee shop trying to piece together everything. So it turns out this monster that's attacking people is a Hyde and is directly controlled by someone. Wednesday thinks her therapist is the master. Donovan walks in with wanted posters. Someone's been committing bank robberies around town, and of course the man on the poster is no other than Fester. First it was Gomez being accused of murder, now his brother's a wanted man. This family sure is something. Tyler then uses the fact that he almost died as a reason why his crush should go out with him. He says 9 PM at Crackstone's crypt. This dude takes the definition of persistent to a whole new level. At the crypt he sets up a picnic and puts on some lights, trying to set the mood. I see you, lover boy, I see you. He's trying to leave an impression, but I think this failed when he makes her watch this movie, cause this facial expression doesn't show that she likes it. This is the face she gives when Gomez won't stop touching his wife in front of her. Tyler is tired of playing the waiting game, so he decides to be a sharpshooter. He says he wants to get out of the friend zone. In typical Wednesday fashion, she shuts down his advances and disregards his feelings. He leans in for a kiss, but his old man enters the crypt. Wednesday was about to get some tender love and care, but Donovan ruined the moment. This guy is slowly giving cops in Jericho a bad rep, as if it wasn't bad enough. Once she ends up back in her room, the place has been ransacked. To make matters worse, someone left with the diary and stabbed Thing. She takes him to Fester so he can attempt to revive him. However, it's not working, and for a second it looked like Wednesday was getting teary-eyed. Nice to see she isn't as heartless as she pretends to be. Lucky for us, everyone's favorite right hand isn't dead. He manages to wiggle his fingers to prove it. Later on, Adams meets with Weems and the two talk about the owner of the diary. Bianca tells Wednesday she has some interesting news about the mayor's death. So it turns out Laurel Gates is still alive. She's back in town, except this time with a new identity. Fast forward and Wednesday barges into her therapist's office and accuses her of being Laurel. But this statement turned out to be false because after Adams leaves her crib, the monster murders the dog. Wednesday's frustrated with everything that's been happening, so she goes to see Xavier. She basically sets him up in order to make it look like he's the Hyde. Donovan then proceeds to arrest him. At the end of the episode, she pays Tyler a visit. They kiss. Finally. Guess him being a nice guy paid off after all. But then this brief moment of passion is interrupted once she has a vision and sees that Tyler is a Hyde. So basically the first boy she kisses is a monster. She definitely has a type, and that's the 7th episode.